I didn't do well. I didn't place, didn't do well. And that made me just like it broke my heart. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Right. So the analytical part of me, I'm like, I want to master this. I'm going to come back. I'm going to master it. So the next year when I went back, I was 18. And that was the year I was graduating. And I went back and I increased my budget a little bit. I got a job. I was interning, so I started exercising. I did everything I could in my budget and within my resources. So I started Botox like in my mid-20s, right?
Wow.
Love Botox. It's amazing. So we're getting Botox like every 6 months. It's safe. There, nothing can go wrong. It's great, you know? So then I moved to New York City. And at that time, a lot of influencers were very reluctant to talk about, you know, getting their lips done or Botox because like brands don't want to work. It was like a very bad thing. It was like a very hush hush thing, right? Mm-hmm. So then a lot of like medical spas around New York City were opening at that time. And I was one of the few content creators that like openly, honestly talked about it. So, you know, I caught their attention. They would reach out and I would post. And then it caught the attention of Allergan Aesthetics, the makers of Botox and Juvederm. So down the line, you know, long story short, I was hired to be a content creator for them. I was also hired to be a model for some of their ads and some of their print materials. And I loved working with them. You know, they're really great, wonderful company to work with. Mm-hmm. So when you're going to the ER at NYU or Mount Sinai in New York City, like, nobody really knows. They're like, oh, we'll call our dermatologist. And I'm like, this is not a dermatological issue, like situation anymore. Mm-hmm. We are way past and outside of that. So anyways, they keep sending me home. They're like, everything's normal, whatever. And so 3 months go by and, you know, everyone's like gaslighting me, like, it'll be fine, whatever, you know, your body will adjust. And I'm just getting sicker and sicker and sicker. Literally like hair is like coming out. I'm having anaphylactic allergic reactions to everything, like dairy, coffee, like things I never had any health issues prior to this, by the way.
Welcome to News, Nonsense, and more. News, Nonsense, and more.
Welcome to another episode of News, Nonsense, and More podcast, where we try to reach out to different people from different communities because everybody has a story to tell. Everybody has something new. Everybody has a story that, you know, can shape our lives or help us, you know, understand different things, different perspectives, just like what we've been doing since the past episodes. And a lot of you guys are enjoying Kushbi this episode, and I think that's something that we want to bring more often. And before I actually introduce our new guest today, just wanted to remind all of you guys, 80% of you watch the channel, but they're not subscribed. So would like for you guys to subscribe to our channel so that way we can start creating content like this because, man, it starts getting expensive. So with that being said, I want to introduce Rohma. She is, I had the pleasure of connecting with her a couple of days ago. Amazing story that she has set up for all of us. Amazing message and also an amazing journey. So without taking any much time, I would like to introduce Rohma. So hi, Rohma.
Hi, Sushant. Thank you for having me on your podcast. Very excited for the next 2 hours. I don't even know what we're going to talk about, but it's going to be so many juicy topics and a lot of helpful things that we can all learn from. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, if you know, you had to introduce yourself to our audience, who is Rohma? So, like, everybody's probably asked, who is this? Who is Rohma? Why is she in this podcast? So, if you had to like introduce yourself and give us like a little brief introduction, that would be awesome.
Let me officially introduce myself. My name is Rohma Siddiqui. I am Southeast Asian. I was born in Karachi, Pakistan, moved to the US at age 1, grew up in the Midwest. I have a journalism background. I'm a former news reporter. I am currently a content creator in New York City. I create a lot of South Asian, Desi fashion content, also have a slight background in beauty pageants. So this is going to be really fun. I love to yap, love to talk and connect with people. That's a little bit of a background on me, and I'm sure we're going to kind of dive in deeper as we go on further with our episode. But yeah, that's a formal intro.
Oh, that's amazing. I mean, like right there, just the fact that you've said, Karachi, Pakistan. I have a couple of friends from Karachi, Pakistan. It can be a little crazy out there.
Love Karachi
But the
people.
biryani is amazing, by the way.
Get your iPhone stolen.
I think that's everywhere. I think that's everywhere. I heard Brazil is even worse. But amazing biryani because one of my best friends is from Karachi.
Okay.
And she treats me like her own son. And every time I go back to New York, she always calls me over and she makes a ton of chicken biryani because she marinates for like 8 to 9 hours. And I consume it. Let's just put it that way. It's the best.
You consume it.
Do you guys like potatoes in your biryani?
Oh yeah. That's that's the best part about it.
Love the potatoes.
Some potatoes and the chicken. Oh, so good.
Yeah.
So good. But yeah, let's get into the nitty-gritty. I think Prapti has a lot of questions for you today.
Okay.
She actually did her homework. I was like telling her about you. So she's really, really excited, really, really interested to ask you a bunch of questions. So
He's making it sound so much more scarier than it is.
No, I respect that. I like research.
But I wanted to be prepared, like, since I'm talking to you. But I was really intrigued when you said you grew up in the Midwest. And I lived in Midwest for like 5 years in Minnesota. So it's definitely a vibe in a different way than New York City. Than New York City, obviously. But I really wanted to like tell a little bit about like how your upbringing was in Midwest, especially a Pakistani American person. How did you deal with that? Because I know Midwest has a lot of people who don't look like us technically. So
and actually that's a very, very, very good question. So we're like really diving in. Back in the day, like I'm like a 90s baby, and back in the day when you saw like a Gap commercial, I'm going to mention that because that commercial is going viral right now. There's so much representation. Like when you look at TikTok, TV, you see people like you. We didn't see that. So I kind of stuck out like a sore thumb. We had a very, very small South Asian community. I grew up in a town by the name of Fort Wayne, Indiana. So it's like the second largest city in the state of Indiana, but it's a very Republican state town. But I mean, I had a pretty like normal upbringing, I guess, but I think that was my normal, just kind of, and nobody really knew like what Pakistan was until 9/11 happened. So it was just like, whatever. Everyone just thought I was Indian. But it is weird. But I think when you grow up in that environment, you think that's normal. So up until the point I moved to New York City, I was like, whoa, like this is so different. Like I can wear a lehenga and like go out. And so it was very interesting. So I think you're right. It was a very different vibe. And you kind of adapt. So I did like beauty pageants and like journalism. I kind of just adapted to what the path to success was considered in that environment. So that was kind of my upbringing. Mostly I had a good amount of like Indian and Pakistani friends. Like my first best friend was South Indian. I met her on the bus to school. So it's kind of like, a lot of the Asian kids and like the minority kids
stick together.
Minorities. We minorities must stick together.
Pretty decent childhood, but I think I love the diversity in New York. That is just what keeps me here. Now I'm going on almost 10 years here, so it's very fascinating how things like change. And here you can try all cuisines and meet people from all over the world. So that is like my biggest love for being here. But yeah.
Since you also like grew up over here in the US, how much close are you with your Pakistani culture?
I would say I'm pretty close. Like I speak fluent Urdu, and I work with a lot of like Pakistani designers, so pretty good like grasp of like the fashion. My grandparents are still in Pakistan, so I visit often. And I'm an only child, by the way, so like I grew up kind of interacting a lot with my parents. So I think I picked up on their like language and mannerisms. So I spoke like Urdu. Yeah.
And when you're an only child, you get all the love from everywhere, right? Too, right? So
Must be nice.
I'm a big fob. So.
When you're the younger one, you get more of it.
I don't believe it. But yeah.
But one thing I really wanted to touch on, and something you touched on earlier, was like you were here during 9/11. So I know we just touched on that. Like, how was that? Because I know, especially during 9/11, Islamophobia was really big here. So how was that experience for you? Did you see the difference on how people were treating you, and how did that like shape you be the person you are today?
Yeah, actually that was not fun. Like the years after that, I was in 5th grade. I think it was this one morning this happened, and later that afternoon, or I think it was the next day, my biggest bully, Shelby, if you're watching, hi. My mom wanted to know, she like comes up to me, she's like, hey, my mom wanted to know, like, are you from Afghanistan? And I'm like, what? Because she already knew I wasn't, you know? So that's a very interesting question. And then I told my 5th grade teacher, Mrs. Hall, she's like my favorite teacher to this day. I told her, and she like gave kind of a talk to the class, you know, about how this has happened. And just because someone is from one of those countries mentioned on the news does not mean that we are affiliated with terrorism or Osama bin Laden, and then, you know, cue all the jokes in 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade. Like, is Osama your uncle? Ha 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 ha. So funny.
Yeah.
Give me some new content, you know?
Yep.
So it was one of those things. And I don't know, like, luckily I kind of didn't, like, it impacts you, but thankfully it didn't get to that point where I'm like not wanting to go to school or like wanting to hide in the bathroom. Like, what can you do, you know? And then, like, there were a lot of racist jokes, but I had wonderful teachers. Like, I remember one time in chemistry class in, like, high school, this kid was like, we had, like, brown paper bags for, like, some experiment. And this kid was like, wow, this bag is the same color as Rohma's skin. And I don't know how to react. But my chemistry teacher, I think his name was Fiber, he was livid. And he, like, kicked that kid out of class. And he like it was like a thing, right? Wow. And it just makes you feel awkward because you're like, I'm like, oh my God, I feel so bad that shouldn't have happened, but like I don't know how to react or act, right? So it's weird, like from a young age that you have these experiences, which I had many of in the Midwest, and even when you have like pretty privilege, or you're on TV, or you do well in a beauty pageant and you become popular, even then it's still not the same. Like you know, then it's like, everybody calls you Princess Jasmine. And that is actually kind of derogatory in a way where it's like not every brown person can be Princess Jasmine. And everyone has different features and attributes to their facial structure, you know? So even then you're being fetishized in a way, I guess. So that's been my experience. But yeah, so things really changed after 9/11 in a very bad way, because you go from no one knowing what Pakistan, Afghanistan is, to everyone knowing it, and in a very negative way. So,
having their own version of the thing, right? That's the thing. That's people think that they're like you know, PhD in you know, in geography and stuff like that. Like
the news and the media had a big hand to play in that. You know, like the fear mongering is wild. Like even now when people go to Pakistan, they're like stunned at how amazing and beautiful it is. And you don't see that on the news. So people in the Midwest, some people that I have spoken to over the years, they don't even leave like the state of Indiana most of their lives. So if they are seeing on TV that, oh my God, like these countries, this religion, these people, they're all bad. Like it paints this like idea in your mind that you're not ever going to go out and investigate or see for yourself. So, you know, obviously like a lot of my, and this was part of the bullying too. Like some of my close friends, they loved like South Asian food, but then some friends were intimidated by it. You know, they'd be like, food is weird and this and it smells and that, the smelling jokes. And I'm just like, okay, I mean, it's delicious.
I think the most famous one is a curry joke. That's
you smell like curry. Even I've got that.
I heard one time a girl refused to eat jalebi because it looked spicy. Because it's red, like, you know, jalebi is red, right? So it looked spicy, so I didn't eat it. They said it was a dessert. They said it was not spicy, but I didn't trust them. That's what she said.
That's sense.
But I do want to say shout out to those educators and teachers who actually helped minimize the racism and then the Islamophobia that comes with it. Because I think in those times like that, you would want a teacher to speak up and do that. So shout out to those teachers.
Especially in a classroom, you don't have a voice amongst other students. So I think the teacher giving you that space and giving you that protection is quite needed, I think.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, I think you said you were in 5th grade. I was in 11th grade when I was here, and I saw that thing happen live. And, you know, I'm from Nepal. I'm an Asian kid. And when I was upstate, even though I was the foreign kid, I was the only foreign kid. Even like the kids that were there, who are like from, who look Korean or Chinese or like a different culture. They were adopted, so they had no idea of like, okay, their own culture, right? So I'm the only foreign kid, and everybody's like coming down on me about talking about, like what's going on over there. Like that's the first time I heard about Afghanistan. Like, I'm 16, 17 years old. Like, what's going on, right?
One of the stands, all of the stands.
Yeah, all the stands.
All stands became dangerous after.
But one thing I really wanted to ask. I know, like when we had a conversation, you kind of told me your brief history and stuff like that. What inspired you to become a journalist?
Well, what inspired me to become a journalist was the fact that I was always a very, very shy kid, but I had really big dreams and goals. And I didn't know how to even go about accomplishing these goals because I was so shy and I had such little confidence that, like, if my dad would tell me go say salam or go say hi to someone, I couldn't do it. Like, I had crippling social anxiety growing up as an only child. So I realized, like, I think in middle school that I'm not going to have any friends or fulfill any of my goals if I don't overcome this like crippling social anxiety. Mm-hmm. So I was like, the only way to do that is to like purposely put myself in situations where I'm like having a panic attack. So I signed up Miss Teen Indiana. I started applying for internships at news stations. And there was another Pakistani news reporter. Her name is Aisha Hasni, and she mentored me by the time I was in high school up until the point where I had my first job. So I looked up to her a lot and I was like, wow, like a minority being in journalism in the Midwest, like that's amazing. So she works for a network news station out in DC, but she was kind of like a big sister mentor figure for me in that world. But it was a lot because I was so awkward on camera. I couldn't. And the first time I was like interning, I remember I forgot to turn the mic on. So that news reporter pissed because he lost all his interviews for the day. He got yelled at, and I was like, oh my God, maybe this is not for me. So I had lots of stumbles and falls and challenges, just even like trying to go that path. But if you don't give up and you get back up again and again and again, go from sucking to being a pioneer. Mm-hmm. And I think that's kind of what happened with me because I was so anxious, such low confidence. I wouldn't say low confidence. I was just scared because I think I grew up as an only child and I was very different from everybody. So just finding that space and that confidence in that environment took a lot of work and a lot of balls, I would say, because someone always has something to say about how you sound. And it's like, you can't allow, and actually that's what my mentor told me. She's like, Rohma, if you are easily shaken by what people say about you, this is not for you. And I still think about this to this day, like 17 years later, that the public life is not for you if you are easily shaken by what anybody has to say. So those things in my life like led me to journalism. And I went from having crippling social anxiety to letting everybody see like the real me, I guess. And beauty pageants were really, really helpful because I don't know if you guys know, like they have a lot of backstage interviewing rounds with multiple judges, kind of like how we're doing. They have like round tables with like 12, 13 judges, and you need to be confident and you need to show them, who you are and all of these things. So that was very crucial. That helped me. So a lot of things kind of went hand in hand. And I think just being able to bring someone's story or just make an impact with your words and your research is really cool. And that's something I've done from the time I started news up until now. I kind of just do it in a very different platform, and the delivery system is just a little bit different. And instead of news, it's other things, right? So that's kind of been the backstory and the journey of even going that path.
That's amazing because talking to you and hearing you speak, I would have never guessed that you had social anxiety or you were scared to talk because you're so confident in yourself. So it's amazing how you said like you would suck, but you have to get back again and keep on doing what you're doing. You did touch on the point that as a public figure, you cannot be shaken up by comments that people give you. When you started, because there is a lot of anxiety when you start on something like this, how what would you give an advice to people who want to get into the field where they can be in the public image, in the public eye, however, struggle with those comments that people make and get shaken up by it, however they want to move forward? Like, would you have any advice for those people?
Yes, I think my first advice, not even just for people who want it, but for everybody actually, I think building a very stable relationship with yourself is important, and also having like a circle that grounds you outside of that. Because there are always moments, where we have self-doubt or like criticism about how we're performing or what we look like or we sound like, all sorts of things, right? So it's important to find a circle if you don't already have it. Find a circle that you trust, that grounds you, that brings you back to reality sometimes, because even I need that. So, and then for me, I think just taking a step back and like taking a look at everything and trusting myself enough, my decisions enough. Because sometimes, like you take these risks and they sound crazy or like they don't sound logical, but you have to trust yourself enough to do that. Or if someone like writes you a nasty comment and like ruins your whole freaking day, right? And you have to like, let me just like, am I actually what this person is saying? Or are they literally just projecting their own whatever's going on onto everybody else, right? So it's really important. And also like, I think therapy, like focusing on mental health is really important. So just having a very balanced outlook and a balanced relationship with your inner self really helps. And that is when you will give your best self to the rest of the world. Otherwise, you're going to absorb people's negative energy on social media, this, that. Like there's so much overconsumption, right? So it's also important to not do that, because it's easy to just get like swayed and just go along with what everyone else is saying or doing. But I think those things really help you like find your place and space in the world.
I do have one question though. What excuse me. What did you attempt first? The pageant show, or you said like you had someone in journalism, right? So which one kind of like came first to kind of help grow that?
Pageantry started when I was 17. I competed in Miss Teen Indiana. I was a chubby kid, so I wanted.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, you know what it is, you guys? Like, I think it's the diet in America.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
It definitely is.
Absolutely.
That is not normal.
It's so bad.
Large Parmesan pizza. I was eating on like a king size bag of barbecue Lay's, and my like let her eat, and I'm gaining weight, and the lunches are so unhealthy. The diet is so unhealthy, and like now we have education. Like after Michelle Obama like introduced healthy lunches, we didn't have that before then. I was eating ice cream, cheese fries, pizza for lunch every day. Yeah. So I was just like, and I was not feeling good. Like I was running an 11-minute mile at gym. What the hell is
I'd say 11-minute mile is good.
Maybe for you. No, it's not that good, dude. It's not.
No,
that good.
I was gonna say like I run like about 10 minutes a mile if I do
Really?
run. Yeah, like a mile in 10 minutes.
Wait, just a singular mile?
Yeah.
I mean, a singular mile is good, but for like a longer run, come on.
No, come on. That's
about it though. I cannot run like more than 10 minutes, and I want to just complete
okay. You're valid.
I just want to complete my 1 mile.
She's actually very, very tiny, so it's probably because she has to take a lot more steps. That's
why.
Different people do have a
10-minute mile sounds great to me. Sounds great.
So talk us through like how did you get into your first pageant? And how do you think it shaped you until like to become the person again who you are today? So
well, I think I didn't know where we were headed, right? So my parents were like, "You cannot do this until you have straight A's, because for us, pageants, pageantry, modeling, this is a hobby. Like this is not going to be a career."
Side quests.
Laughed it off, right? They were like, "This is insanity. Let me bring you back to reality." Got straight A's, and did everything they asked. And then I don't even know how I found out about Miss Teen Indiana. I think some things just when you're meant to go a certain route, it just catches your eye or it comes into your life in those weird ways. So I just got the thing for it. And I was like, okay, I guess like, this sounds interesting. Like, I want to do this. This is going to help me somehow. So I convinced my mom. And we got like so you need like an evening gown, you need a swimsuit, and it was like a whole thing because I'm Muslim, swimsuit, this, that.
Yeah.
Oh
And
no.
I'm like, I need to get a 6-pack in like 6 months, and I just ate a Papa John's pizza. What is gonna happen? So anyways, my mom was like, okay, cool, whatever, and like my budget was very small. And, some of these girls, like pageantry is a sport in the Midwest. And
yeah.
some of these girls are specifically homeschooled, so they can just focus on pageantry.
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Damn.
Midwest is crazy about pageantry for
So-
some reason.
What are they schools like?
My
what
question
do they
is, can you make a living out of pageantry, just doing pageantry for your whole life?
No.
I don't think so.
So why, like,
No, but pageantry is a stepping stone, right?
oh, okay.
It gives you that spotlight, I guess, in a way.
Yeah. It's like, even like, our Indian beauty queens like Priyanka, Lara. So
Oh,
it's
okay. Yeah.
like a stepping stone to whatever you want to do, I guess.
Mm.
It just kind of puts you in the spotlight, like you said. So basically, we went, I had a very low budget, and some of these, evening gowns and swimsuits are like in the thousands. It's like a very serious situation here. And
It's a sport.
we know nothing about it. We don't care. We're just there to like try to F around and find out, I didn't do well. I didn't place, didn't do well. And that made me just like, it broke my heart. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Right. So the analytical part of me, I'm like, I want to master this. I'm going to come back. I'm going to master it. So the next year when I went back, I was 18. And that was the year I was graduating. And I went back and I increased my budget a little bit. I got a job. I was interning. So I started exercising. I did everything I could in my budget and within my resources to improve myself and become better. I went around, I found sponsorships, like I found people that were, and it's so interesting. Like, this is all before social media, but it's, so you had to go to businesses, you had to tell them like, hey, please sponsor me. So like, my pictures are everywhere at the pageant, and like my headshots are everywhere. I got my headshots done. So then the next year when I went, one of my friends, she was like, Rohma, do you know that you're everybody's favorite girl to win? Because you know how people do fantasy football?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. She was invested. She was invested in the sport the next time she did it.
I'm like stunned. I'm like, how do people know me? They were like, everyone's looking at your headshot in the program book, and you're their picked winner, because they like come, like check all the candidates and everyone. So I go to missisology.com and everyone's like, I'm like, this is weird, right? And then I'm like, oh my God, this is so much pressure. I don't even have a coach. I don't have any like professional training. So I won Miss Photogenic. I was a top 5 finalist. And for me, that was enough. I was like, oh my God, I got to the top 5. Like to the end, final question, everything. And we were stunned. So then I get back, my high school wants to do like a full yearbook. And actually the morning I got back, everybody in my geometry class and my teacher stood up and applauded because it was in the paper.
Wow.
I was like, oh my God, this is, I can't. Weird. So
she's an athlete, guys.
Yeah. I was an athlete. Yeah. So
she's an athlete in Midwest.
Yeah. And then the weirdest thing of all is my best friend, Kirsten, she's Filipino. Her sister won Miss Indiana that year.
Ooh,
nice.
And we met at the pageant 4 hours away from our hometown. So her mom is like one of your typical Filipino pageant moms. I became her protege over the years. So then break. I took like a 2-3-year break to focus on news, college, internships. But I knew that I was going to go back as like an adult, and compete in the Miss. But that is how my intrigue and like fascination with the beauty pageant world began. But obviously, like I knew that, I couldn't just quit everything and have my parents like funnel money into this. I do it myself. But things just started happening. Like, I found trainers, coaches that all believed in me so much that they would just invest their time for free into training me. And I was like, wow, I guess when you have a dream and a goal and drive, people will like meet you along that path that will help you get there. So that's kind of a little bit, this is so funny. Like this is the first time I'm thinking about this after like 17 years.
That's
but
awesome.
That's how it all began. Yeah.
I mean, that's awesome. I mean,
that's amazing. Honestly, that is insane. And then you said you were a chubby kid and you really worked your ass off to get where you are. It's amazing. Like there's nothing but like I'm out of words honestly listening to that.
I think the greatest aspect that I kind of got from that is like, you know, she was talking about how you guys talk about Midwest as you're homeschooled for that kind of like stuff, right? And this is just something that intrigued her. So the way from going the first time, you know, Rohma competed, what she learned, what she got, how you worked on it without any coach.
Yeah, exactly.
For the second time to be top 5. I mean, imagine if you had a coach. Imagine you had the same, you know,
you're natural at that.
Literally.
Honestly, though, it's like we are, I think this is important to talk as a Southeast Asian. We're always the underdogs because we come from different circumstances. And a lot of our parents, sadly, they were on survival mode. You know, like we don't have the luxury to be like, okay, mom and dad, I want to do this, right? Like, I'm just going to relax. We cannot do that.
Absolutely.
So I had to be like, okay, I enjoy doing this, but I have responsibilities from a very young age. So after like addressing all those responsibilities, this was my creative outlet. But social media was a creative outlet. It was never the main career. It couldn't be, right? So it's interesting because now I'm like, when I have kids, like they're not going to be on survival mode like we were as first gen, you know?
Yeah.
So that kind of ties into it, I guess. You work harder, you're hungrier.
I think it's just like the automatic understanding of responsibility.
Yeah.
Is like how as first generation immigrants, like even same thing over here. Like when I was in high school, I worked, you know, like you just had to.
We had
to.
School, we did everything. We were doing like 10 times more than, you know, our colleagues. I in a lot of cases, I feel like. So
yeah, absolutely.
But it's good. It's character development. It shapes you.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, stories like that, struggles like that, really make us into the person who we have to become. And I think one of the most important things is it keeps us humble.
Yeah.
Yes, it's good character building. 100%.
I did have a question for you. Because you went to Pageant and you said you were a chubby kid, so you did have to work out a lot. And since in Midwest, pageantry is a sport, how did that affect you, or did that affect you and the beauty standards? Because realistically, the beauty standards in Midwest is a certain standard. However, like we don't look like that. And was that something you struggled with when you were going on the pageant? I know I was overweight too, and there was a time where I would question myself and like have some self-doubts. So did that affect you and how you see yourself?
Yes, that's actually a really good question because when I decided that like I want to win and I want to like I'm here to win. I'm not just there to participate, right? So I was like, I need to get serious. So when you have to work out a lot, obviously, you know, you need to have a six-pack. You need to be like, it's like becoming an actual athlete. So I did. And when you go there, you have the six-pack, you have that perfect muscular body. And I was saying a couple minutes ago, so I actually did a bodybuilding competition to prepare for Miss India.
Wow.
And I was in a bodybuilding competition. I was like,
she probably kicked my ass.
But I had an amazing, so my trainer, his name is Quincy Alexander. He trained Rima Faki, who was the first Arab Miss USA. So they were based out of Michigan. So I was like, I would drive to Michigan every month, like 10 hours for my weigh-ins, for like, for all the progress checks. And we would FaceTime with the workout. So I would wake up at 5 a.m. I would go do my weightlifting for 2 hours. Then in the evening after work, I would go do cardio for an hour. And I had a very, very strict diet plan for 6 months. Like no dairy in your coffee, no nothing. Like you boiled fish, boiled chicken, rice, carbs, counting everything, spinach without dressing. So it was, man, that was a time.
Wow.
Wow, that's a lot of commitment.
It's very hard.
Like if you want to win and you put in the work, you're going to do well, right? So now this is where your question becomes very interesting. So you work a lot for that kind of a body, but that's not something you can maintain. Like, you know, being South Asian, food is such a important part of our culture and our life. And, you know, you connect emotionally with food. So obviously for me, like, I lived at home back then, and my mom is making the best biryani.
I can't say no.
I understand how much strength you need to say no.
6 months, man.
I'm like, Mom, I can't do this right now.
Yeah. But no biryani, only the boiled fish for now. Yeah.
It was really hard. It was really hard, like packing my smelly fish.
I listen. I hear you because I remember like I just wanted to achieve like this. I wasn't doing any competition. I wanted to have like this 8 to 9% body fat, and I can tell you the food that you eat is like it tastes like cardboard paper after a certain time.
Those are crazy. You drop fat like that because it's all diet. The American diet really is very unhealthy. Back to your question, Prati. So I struggled because right after competition, basically you eat. You got to go live life. You eat. You're just so deprived, and then you rapidly put on weight. And then it's like, if you do well in a competition, you get modeling jobs. It's a lot. Like it's a lot of pressure to look a certain way. And all of that messes with your head. So I think at the end of the day, whether we are on screen or not, I think we as women, we are really our biggest critics because like society has put so much pressure on us to look a certain way, and perfection really doesn't exist. And whatever you're seeing in photos is a fantasy. It is not real. A lot of work has gone into that. Whatever you're seeing, makeup, hair, like hair extensions, like surgeries, like so many things go into, this beautiful doll-like image that we like to look up to. And I think that, and it's important to talk about this because, there's so much behind the scenes happening. Same thing with, weight. It's okay to gain a couple of pounds. I think self-love is important, but it's like, how do we find self-love if society always wants us to be so performative?
Yeah.
And always perfect? It's not possible, but I think it's getting better. I saw like now, even in beauty pageants, we're seeing more plus size queens. Miss Nepal, actually, she kind of broke barriers with that. But back then it was a very different environment. Luckily, like for me, I think when I decided I want to lose weight or, lose the baby fat, my dad would like go running with me. He would go jogging with me. So like, luckily I never resorted to like binge eating or like not eating. Because I always wanted to understand and find out like the healthiest way of doing things or achieving a goal. And sometimes it really is like being disciplined and exercising. But yeah, there's times where I'm not disciplined. I'll eat a whole pizza by myself. And then I'm like, wait, okay, like, that
Me too, I get it.
Yeah. So I think, again, like finding balance is so important to just living. And I think that ties in with confidence too. Like, sometimes now it's like there's days where you just feel bloated or you don't feel confident or you don't feel good. Then that's okay. Like we love ourselves and then we try harder the next day and you try better, more the next day. So that's kind of what I've found. It's never a constant. Things are just always changing, and we can just do our best to make sure that we're changing into the best version of ourselves.
Did that kind of like, play a part for also your journalism gig? Because, like how I remember back in the day when you had to be a news reporter or a journalist, like looks was something that it always mattered, right? You always wanted to have the best looking people on TV. I mean, it's I don't think it's as predominant as it is in the US, but like if you look at like Mexico or other South Asian,
especially the South American countries,
yes, like woo.
Yeah, I want to watch those weather channels.
So you guys,
that's the problem.
America, like TV presenters, they're all like beauty pageant girls. Like they go on to have like very successful, like Miss Puerto Rico and and Miss Colombia. They're all like ruling the television news industry in Latin America and South America. But yeah, like looks actually play a really big part. And I think doing all of that kind of prepped me and got me ready to be on television as a reporter, because most of the women that you see on like local news in the Midwest, they're your like blonde haired, blue eyed, Midwestern standard of beauty. You don't see somebody that looks like me, but I think they kind of saw that exotic look for them might be very sellable, which is why I got that job right out of college. And I think they were right, because I do stand out, in that kind of an environment. So I started using things that made me question myself as my strengths. I think it kind of like started flipping, that it's like, you should actually celebrate what makes you different. You're not, you're actually like more noticeable and more unique, and people like that. So I started kind of like becoming more confident and comfortable with just like who I am. And rather than trying to put in the blue contacts, we all had that phase. I had the blue colored contacts.
Really?
The worst
Really?
phase.
I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean.
I don't know.
also had brown hair and blue colored contacts.
When you're in the Midwest,
Yeah.
like that's all you see is blonde hair, blue eyes. I mean, that's not all you see, but majority, that's what you see, right?
Also, but like I do have a question, because you were like unique to these reporters by how you look and how you presented. What were like some of the challenges that you faced because of your uniqueness?
Definitely discrimination, being Muslim.
Mhm.
I don't drink alcohol and I don't eat pork. So like, I think people, whatever they're not familiar with, some people see it as something intimidating, I guess, because different can be intimidating. So I think people's like natural inclination is to like make a joke about it. To feel
Okay.
familiar, I guess. And then obviously I think like competition. People just like, I think one of the things in the Midwest is like the discrimination kind of runs deep, right? Like everyone's very nice to your face, but it's like if they see you getting more like praise or like, you know, like more
attention, yeah.
then they're like, no, like you can do well, but you can't do better than me. So then it's like a lot of backhanded, underhanded questions, this, that, like, so I think Sushant, I was telling you when we spoke before the episode, like a lot of my colleagues, you know, they didn't know very much about like the Middle East and what was going on with like ISIS and a lot of those groups. So I was always selected to report on stories like that. And it was very fascinating that like none of my colleagues like knew anything about the Midwest, like very, very below basic level information. And it's very interesting because it's like, you know, if something is trending and something is going on in the world, like we know, like nowadays we know so much from like TikTok and stuff. So it's very interesting, like, you know, just discussing this with my colleagues. So a lot of discrimination because of my religion.
Yeah, exactly. My question over there. That would be when they are hiring a reporter or they're hiring you. So what do they consider more like? How do you look, or how smart you are around the world? How better, like, knowledgeable you are?
Sound,
so
Yeah.
You have to ask the news directors.
I mean, based off, that's a really good question. Like, based off of like your own personal experience, because you have to like, you know, when I asked you these questions, like when we were talking, right? Because I was actually personally intrigued. Because I actually want to know, like, are all these news reporters like knowledgeable? They have to be.
They have to
be like they have to know these things. And now you're telling us like a lot of these guys have basic information. Like, like even I could like probably spend like 3 hours researching, and I could be as knowledgeable as them. But these guys have the platform. These guys are on TV, right?
Yeah.
So when you're saying these things to us, and especially the audience who's listening, it's very, very eye-opening, which, you know, for a lot of people, especially me.
Actually, like, I don't know if you guys will relate to this or not, but like even in the social media world that I work in today, we have to work 10 times harder than our Caucasian colleagues to be noticed, to get a brand deal, to be applauded. And like, you know, this is a very known fact, like as a minority in these emerging fields or, you know, like public positions, you really have to kind of face a lot of criticism and discrimination that our Caucasian colleagues are not facing. So I think it's one of those things, but I think like for me, I had to be smart and like work 10 times harder when it was interviews, writing articles, whatever I did, I had to be an overachiever in order to just even get that like basic acceptance that, hey, like she is an asset to our newsroom.
Yeah.
So I think maybe that's why. And it's like, obviously because I'm Muslim and South Asian, I automatically know a lot more, right? Than, you know, someone who's not and is living in the Midwest. And the daily stories are like, you know, education, healthcare. You're not even exposed to like the Middle East and what's happening there on a day-to-day, I guess, if you're like a white reporter in the Midwest. So I think it kind of comes down to that. It's like, they don't really need you to have that kind of knowledge, perhaps, right? And it's just a, you know, local news job. So
keeping the status quo.
Yeah. But, you know, obviously if you want to climb the ladder and like go into network news, you got to be smart and obviously appealing to be on camera as well. So,
so both.
Yeah, a little bit of both.
Yeah, a little bit of both.
It's a good balance between both, I guess.
Yeah. But they won't take you if you're not smart or if you're not knowledgeable, though.
Yeah.
Only looking pretty doesn't like.
Yeah, I think it's amazing because I've been in Midwest and I know the beauty standards there. It's amazing how you emerged out of that and kind of gave a face to people, representation to people like us. It's always good to see people who look like us on the screens, and obviously gives people hope. I did have a question on the journalism side where you said you had to work harder than most of your Caucasian colleagues. And I mean, it's a given fact. Like, there's certain privileges that we don't get. That does not come immediately. Was there a times, I know in Midwest, like you said, they don't know about Middle East. Like, even when I went to college there were a lot of people who had no idea about anything outside America. And we would have to, and they would say stuff like, wait, aren't you guys the same? You guys sound same and stuff like that. So we really had to be like, no, like it's different. So when you had to cover all these news pieces and when you were in your journalism era, in a way, were there any stories that you would work with that you didn't maybe agree with, or that you were not able to cover the full information, or were there any restrictiveness when it came to giving your opinion, especially on camera, on how you sound? Because I know you have to sound unbiased most of the time since you're just reporting news. But even then, were there things that clearly you could see is not what's going on, but that's how the news media, like, it's a different story when it comes out of news. So were there like times like that where you'd feel those things weighing down on you?
Yes. I think there's very little creative freedom, actually, because the news is a business and you have to appeal to your viewers, right? So I was telling Sushant this already. Back in the day when I was working, Mike Pence, former vice president, was the governor of Indiana. And he was signing a couple of like healthcare bills that a lot of people, even Republicans, didn't agree with. So we would do like a lot of stories on him whenever he would be visiting, the hospitals in Fort Wayne. And he was just very rehearsed. So all the reporters, like, we kind of knew, we had the briefs, you went very on script. Nobody would deviate. Why? Because say you want to be creative, right? You want to be, you want to ask some new fun questions. He's not going to deviate from the rehearsed answers. He just repeats them. Wow. So that was like a pretty common, experience. Like, same thing with the mayor. He was great, but it's like, you want to create change and bring new content, but like there's so many like obstacles that most reporters don't really get to jump over that so easily. You really have to like fight to do that. But those are like some of the things that I faced, and a lot of, like, it was a very high stress, like high stakes job. And I didn't really have a lot of like creative freedom. So, going into it, you want to do all of these things and you want to explore and, create groundbreaking like stories and content, but your hands are tied, like from a financial aspect, advertisers, audience, their political affiliations. So you do as much as you can, I guess. I did help change one law. There was a law on horse abuse because, there's a lot of farms and like horse shows. Mm-hmm. So I did. I interviewed the senator, and because of my story, they tightened up the horse abuse laws.
I love that. I love that.
Hey, at least something better than nothing, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Something better than nothing. Horses' life matter too.
Of course.
Everyone's life matters.
Animal abuse is not okay. Yeah.
They were doing like horse beauty pageants.
Oh, what?
they so like I think they go with like the hair of the horse. I don't know what it's called. And then they brush it, and then also the tail of the horse.
And hooves. Like, so basically to make them walk a certain way. In the pageants, they do like this procedure that's very damaging and painful.
I think I've seen the video somewhere before.
One foot at a time,
yes.
right? 1 foot at a time.
Wow.
Yeah. So there was like a whole thing, like they went to like DC to protest. It was like a whole thing. And this was my first week at the news station, and like nobody could get a hold of Senator Donnelly, but like somehow miraculously I did. And it was
I love that.
all right, amazing. We're off to a good start. So
I mean, that's journalism, again, I was telling you when we spoke, like I got into like interest in politics in 2016, and as time went on and I learned more about it, and especially like hearing it from you, because I don't get an opportunity to talk to people in the news or who've been in the news, but it's very eye-opening to hear from you saying that how much like creative freedom you don't have. Like how much it's controlled, like how money controls a lot of these things, and it kind of in a way probably suffocates you to not be able to do the things that you thought you would be able to do. You go to 4 years of school just to like, hey, you got to do what you're told, bro, kind of situation, right? Hey, our money comes from this place. If not, they don't fund us. You may not have a job, right? That financial security changes us, right? In a way. And it sucks. It sucks to know that from a news perspective.
Even not only on the like main news channel, even in YouTube podcasts, if you see nowadays,
especially nowadays,
it's more like it's more constructed.
I think media in a sense is changing, which kind of leads me to the next question. Kind of, unless you have something for the journalism aspect.
I was surprised because I really thought when you go into journalism, when you're a journalist, you're kind of seeking for the truth in a way. And I think most people who go into journalism go with the idea that they have the freedom and that space.
I think that's for individual journalists. Independent journalists.
I just want to add one thing. So like around the time when I was working, that's when social media was emerging, right? Like Twitter, TikTok exist. So nowadays, actually some of the journalists that I looked up to, they are independent now. They're reporters because everybody gets sick of it. Like Huffington Post, like all of the publications, and even if
it's all funded,
people get fed up because at the end of the day, it's a business.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a risk and reward, right? So you like those corporations, when they hire you, you can't be like, okay, like change the world, do whatever you want. That's the problem, right? So there's like, you have certain red tape that you abide by. Basically.
And that's where I was going with it, was like, because there was a lack of social media at that time. So you couldn't really be free about what you're saying and what you're doing. So most of the news that is reported is all overseen by people who want you to report what they think is correct, right?
Yep.
So I guess my question is around the lines of like, when you went with your mentor and had all these things, when you started realizing that journalism maybe was not what you thought it was going to be, and you didn't have the 100% freedom, like you said, to actually report what you wanted to report or what you saw was being reported. Were there like, did that bring a kind of, the only word I can think of is ick towards journalism?
I would say so. It was kind of like buyer's remorse, right? So, and also the local media space was changing because more people are getting news on Twitter, right? So less people into the 5 a.m., 6 a.m. news or the 10 p.m. news. So now the channels are losing money. So the luxury, the glamour of being a local celebrity is fading away, basically. And obviously that's why a lot of pageant girls are like attracted to that world, because you still get to kind of do your whole beauty fashion situation, and the pay is well, and so you're comfortable, right? That's why it attracts a lot of people. But there's pay cuts of all sorts, the teams are being laid off, the cameramen are being laid off, there's no glam team anymore, like all of these things are happening, right? So you're doing your own makeup, you're like freezing cold in a blizzard, you're putting your safety at risk, going to a shooting. So that's happening.
Wow.
But then social media was basically like changing quite a bit at that time. So I kind of started at a very transitional phase of how we consume news, basically. So I was like, in a way, I was like, whoa, like what's happening? Because when I was an intern, this was a whole different thing. And now there's all this pressure and deadlines. And mind you, like my schedule was I would go to work at 1 p.m. and I would be done at 1 a.m. because I went 11 p.m. news. And my off days were like Monday and Wednesday.
Wow.
So I like lost my social life. I would barely see my parents. I'm like, it's okay. Like I'll do this for 2 years. I'll kind of like make a name for myself and then I'll have more freedom. But things just kept changing, right? So then they were like, okay, well, we're not getting enough viewers. So now you guys need to start like tweeting, and you need to like have your audience like follow you on Twitter. So then we started like posting our Twitter handles. On the news, like I'm Rohma Siddiqui, you can follow me here. My Twitter handle would show up. And then for reporting throughout the day, we would give, our audience and viewers updates, whether it's like weather, political, whatever. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how it was changing. I obviously did social media, fashion, sharing outfits as a creative outlet. So that was kind of, pulling me in a way where I didn't understand, but that was kind of just my like blowing steam. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how I did feel it. I did start feeling it, but the whole environment was changing too. I think everybody else was feeling it also.
What do you think you did differently over everybody else once because I'm so old. I know the birth of Snapchat. No, listen, these guys will make fun of me all day.
He finally admitted it. No, it's really fun because he finally admitted the fact that he's old.
I never lied about it. But
I mean, you don't lie about it, but you make a big fuss about it. Oh, you guys calling me old now?
Well, you guys can. I can. Okay, there's a difference. No, but seeing the birth of Snapchat, seeing the birth of Instagram, because not many people know Instagram was its own company. It wasn't. It did not. It wasn't a Facebook or a Meta company, right?
Yeah.
Snapchat, I think, is still independent.
Yeah, it is.
Facebook didn't have like all those things. Twitter was different. It was a bird. The characters were so less.
143 characters
or something like that. I don't know.
140 characters. And I remember like trying to think of the most creative ways I can make it funny, but under 140 characters. It was a work, but I would give this. Previous Twitter was a lot creative because people were limited to 140 characters. I miss that Twitter.
Yeah, I miss that for simpler times.
Yeah, and also it gave a space for like creators, like for you, for example, right? Like now everybody can just use AI to, hey, can you help me with this prompt? Mm-hmm. Boom, they have something very...
Like you guys remember like the MapQuest days? Like my dad...
Yeah, we had to print it out.
Like 10 pages and we had to
These guys will not know. I know. Like when there was no Google Maps, you had to literally print out 4 to 5 pages, and then you literally like had to make sure that your shotgun, the person who's next to you, is the most responsible person that there is, because they would have to look at it.
I've seen these in movies.
Yeah.
I've seen this in movies, yeah.
By the time I was here when I was in middle school, right before I was about to start high school. I remember they had this little box GPS navigator.
That was luxury.
Map. Yeah. Like there was another, like I forgot the app name.
TomTom. You're talking about TomTom.
Yes, that box thingy.
Garmin, TomToms.
Garmin.
Yeah.
And somebody would have to they're like driving, but it's not in the seat, or like it can be on the side. So I remember I said I wanted to shotgun, and they said, but you would have to know where the road goes. And I'm like, what are they talking about? Because it didn't announce. It would show you the roads, but it wouldn't announce it, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, this sounds so scary. I don't want to do this. But yeah, that was, I don't know.
Those were the times. But,
wow.
But leading up to my question before we get sidetracked, going down memory lane, I wanted to know, like, what did you think you did differently to like kind of try, because from journalism you went into being an influencer, a model, and you kind of like you said you had your Twitter handle when you were in the newsroom, and you had to push yourselves out there, and you did that outlet, right? Something to like kind of throw the steam off. When did you realize, and like what did you discover that you were doing something differently, I guess?
I think 2 things. I effed around and found out, and I honored my curiosity. Because like coming to America, being an immigrant, you feel like you're thrown into this like weird environment that nobody knows how to navigate, not even your parents. So what do, right? Like what their normal and their familiarity is very different. So even they can't help you. So that's kind of what I did. And yeah, like I didn't succeed the first try ever, right? I had to try again, like fall down, get back up, fail, suck at it, get back up. I think I just tried one more time. And I tried one more time. I went back, I tweaked things out, I tried one more time. Went back, failed. I just kept doing that, I think. So I really like just honored my curiosity. Like what if because social media, like everyone wants to do content creation now, but nobody wanted to do it when you paid and you had to invest money and time and effort and do all of that just because you loved the art of creating a fashion look or styling or, working with something that didn't exist and coming up with this whole thing. So people, like, everyone thought I was crazy, by the way, like focusing so much time and attention and all of this into YouTube or like Instagram or fashion. Like my parents were like, what is the point of all of this? Everyone in the community, like everyone that knew me or like, partners that I was with at that time, like their families, like whatever. Like I got so much slack from people, so much judgment. Like, and now everyone's like, wow, this is so cool, right? Because that's like the cool, hot new thing to do. So I think that's one thing I did differently. Like I followed my heart, not to sound like tacky, but a lot of creativity is intuitive. Really have to just like trust yourself that, all right, I like this. I want to do this. Even if I fail, it's okay because at least you tried. So I think being loyal to your curiosity is really important, whether it pays off or you fail. Because now there's no like gray area.
What do you think the creativeness now is? Looking at social media and all the AI prompts that can help you. What, like, for example, like if you want something creative, like how do you go about it? Like, do you take help from like the modern technologies, or you just go with what's in your heart?
I want to, like, I feel like I should do it more. I should utilize it more. But I think because I'm a millennial, I don't. I'm like resistant to the change. I someone younger, like my intern, she's like 24, 25. She functions very differently. Like the way they think, the way they access information is very different than I would do it. But I think that it's really true. Like it's good to like stay true to what you're doing rather than become too, because ChatGPT comes up with the corniest captions. Like I've tried using captions.
And you just immediately know.
It's so weird. Like we are going to become robotic and we're going to lose that emotional connection, that energy that transmutes between the screens, your content or your words is going to become so robotic and one dimensional if we keep replacing, the human mind and the human thought process with ChatGPT and robotic apps like that. So I think, again, it comes with responsibility and it comes with balance. Yeah,
you're definitely right.
I think with social media, a lot of times if a content is AI, like if they used AI in order to get ideas for the content, just because I think it's very clear to see if it's an original thought, especially if you've been online like scrolling for hours and hours. You can, I think, immediately, I think for like most people, they connect to the original idea more than like an originality more than a prompt. So even when people are using prompt, I could be wrong though, but I feel like they are not as successful as we would think they would be using AI.
I think you can take the idea from the prompt, make your own ideas using different prompts, not just follow it blindly.
I think in a way, like it takes like what what she was saying, like it takes away the
connection of
the
it.
connection, the human connection of it,
the humanity of it.
Yeah.
Because it takes a lot of hard work, right, to get what you feel, what you think, what you want to create, the area, the place you want to travel to. Because ultimately, what is it really doing? It's actually taking away that, oh my God, like they went over here. The story behind that content is also gone, right? It's gone because all you're really doing is typing it out. Because let's say for that 30-second clip, you want to take that video in the top in Iceland, and you want to grab that sunset or the sunrise, right? And there's a story of how we got there. There's a story about what it looked
There's
like.
a birth of idea there.
Exactly, you know, because even when you're there, a different kind of idea can pop up, right? You go in with one thing, but you end up doing something else completely. So I think it, you know, AI can take that away, and I feel like it needs to be regulated.
Yes.
But it also like,
it's a helpful tool though. I mean, you know, you can, it really helps like brainstorm content. But again, I think balance is very important, because right now social media is very, very unknown territory once again. Like, TikTok is going to stay if it's not. And then if that's like your full-time career, then you're like really on like unknown, shaky territory. So I like about these things, but I'm just like, you know, you just gotta ride the wave. Life itself is actually unknown territory.
I do want to like, I know we have 1 hour left, and I want to put that 1 hour to, you know, your awareness, because as I mentioned before, you know, you have a message for people, because it goes back to what Prapti asked about beauty standards, right? How it, you know, makes us do certain things, or it puts us in like difficult situations. And you have a very, very, like when we had the conversation, that whole entire story, like when I was hearing about it, like what you're going through, what you had to go through, what you did to research by yourself. I think that is something that needs a lot of people all over the world, especially women, and you know, need to understand that. And for young men, like you know, Ashu, I mean, I'm old, you know, like whatever
Myself.
it is, like getting you know, we're getting
He
it.
was about to say myself.
But Ashu himself, like, you are going to be around the same age group of girls who might have those type of like situations, or people who want to get into that kind of business. What do they have to do? What are the responsibilities they need to do? So I really want you to like be able to, I know you've already told me the story, but you know, them two have not heard it, and even Mike haven't heard it. And the audience definitely
the viewers haven't heard it too.
This is mainly for the viewers. So.
Yeah, it's mainly for the viewers and all of you guys over here too, because it really puts, just because it's a good business doesn't mean that the money is the only thing that matters, because there are certain things that causes people like harm. You know, there's a lot of like ethical things that goes into play, and I think that's also as important. The morality of why you do the business is also as important. Yeah. So, but take it away.
So, well, I think this kind of ties into, you know, unknown territory. So medical aesthetics, like social media, how we view and see ourselves and our confidence, our image, that's changing too with technology. So obviously the rise of medical aesthetics, such as Botox, dermal filler, all of these things, they're becoming very, very common. And 12 years ago, I did a news story on Snapchat filters and how the rise of plastic surgery and injectables is rising. That was one of my news stories that I worked on. And that was the first time I got Botox, because the plastic surgeon I interviewed was like, oh, you should try Botox, you know, because it's wonderful. And I'm like, yeah, well, you know, I'm very expressive when I talk, you know, on TV and with people. So let's try it. And Botox was amazing. I was hooked. I was like, dang, this thing is magic. So I started Botox like in my mid-20s, right?
Wow.
Love Botox. It's amazing. So we're getting Botox like every 6 months. It's safe. Nothing can go wrong. It's great, you know? So then I moved to New York City. And at that time, a lot of influencers were very reluctant to talk about, you know, getting their lips done or Botox, because like brands don't want to work. It was like a very bad thing. It was like a very hush-hush thing, right? So then a lot of like medical spas around New York City were opening at that time. And I was one of the few content creators that like openly, honestly talked about it. So, you know, I caught their attention. They would reach out and I would post. And then it caught the attention of Allergan Aesthetics, the makers of Botox and Juvederm. So down the line, you know, long story short, I was hired to be a content creator for them. I was also hired to be a model for some of their ads and some of their print materials. And I loved working with them. You know, they're really great, wonderful company to work with. I think I worked with them for about, 3 years until all of this happened. So, and there's a lot of gray area in this, which you guys will understand as I move along with the story. But so I'm basically on year 3. It's 2023, I believe. And we want to kind of film another video and, you know, continue our partnership with this dermal company. They're dermal filler and Botox company. So I just go, they're sending me to the best doctors, best injectors. There's really nothing can go wrong, right? We're practicing all of our precautions. So basically, like, I went and I told her, I don't want too much filler, but obviously we want to showcase how amazing these products are, how they can add structure to your face, or they can, address those insecurities that we feel when we're on our phone, on camera, on video all day long. As a content creator, me more so than, your everyday normal person. So, I kind of told her, I was like, I already have high cheekbones. We don't need to do that. But, obviously we can add some volume that I'm losing with age, as one does. Or like, we can add just a little bit of volume in the lips, something minor, nothing big, nothing that's going to change my face. So we did. But for some reason, I was having a lot of around my cheek eye area, I was having a lot of, lymph node blockage, and it was hard. The filler was like really hard and it was visible. So we decided to dissolve it. And that is something I've never done before. And I should have done more research on this. And I actually tried to, but there's no information online. I just typed in, is dissolving filler safe? And there's really not a lot of information. There were, I think, like one or two stories on Real Self about how, they their skin was dry, but nothing immunological at that point.
Okay.
So anyways, I go to dissolve, and unfortunately, this filler is not dissolving, right? So it took multiple sessions. And I think from May to August of 2023, I had to dissolve, and then it was making things look really uneven. So then she would dissolve it, re-add it, dissolve it, re-add it. And it's just distorting things. I'm just like, oh my God, I look so much worse than what I normally looked. So it's kind of like they're dissolving it like it's a magic eraser. And by the way, the enzyme that's used to dissolve dermal filler, there's no medical research or studies on it. This enzyme is not even manufactured by Allergan Aesthetics, the people that manufacture Botox and filler. They don't manufacture this enzyme. This enzyme is used, it's called hyaluronidase. It's used by doctors, surgeons during surgery. So there's really no studies, nothing but everybody's using it off label. It's not even FDA approved for dissolving fillers. It's not even FDA approved. Wow. And everybody is doing it. And I found all of this out, obviously, after I had an immunological hypersensitivity reaction to it. So basically, to summarize, in August, I think this was the fourth, fifth time we were trying to dissolve. So I got fed up. I was like, I just want to dissolve everything. Go back to square one, because at this point, I don't even know what's going on, right? I'm this is you go to enhance something and make things better, and now you have a whole situation on your hands. And then, obviously I owe content to the company that's not getting done. So a lot of things are put on hold around that time. And then mid-August, I basically end up in the ER. After I think the fourth or fifth session, I'm coming home and I'm getting dizzy. My blood pressure's dropping. I'm standing on the train. So I call my dad. My dad is a MBBS physician from Pakistan. So I called him. I'm like, Dad, I feel really weird. So he was like, take a Benadryl, just see. I'm like, I don't know if I'm having an overdose reaction, because they used 2-3 vials to dissolve, right? Wow. So the next 2 days, I'm having just weird symptoms. I'm having allergic reactions when I'm eating, hair's falling out, joints are, mouth is dry, eyes are dry, veins are super dehydrated and tiny, very strange. So then 2 days later, I'm just getting worse and worse and worse. So I was like, I think I need to go to the emergency room. And then my mom flew to New York. So we go to the emergency room, and the ER doctors are like, what's going on? I was like, I don't know, because I just had this cosmetic procedure done, and now all of these symptoms are happening to me. My pupils dilated, blood pressure was dangerously low, very, very. And I was severely dehydrated. My body was clearly in a fight or flight response, my nervous system. But the doctors were like, what's hyaluronidase? They don't even know what this enzyme is.
What?
They don't even know. And then there's no information there's no protocol. There's no medical protocol. Yeah. But here's the thing, there have been known allergic reactions and hypersensitivity immune reactions to these substances. that have been documented, but there's a disconnect between cosmetic and medical. So when you're going to the ER at NYU or Mount Sinai in New York City, like nobody really knows. They're like, oh, we'll call our dermatologist. And I'm like, this is not a dermatological issue, like situation anymore. We are way past and outside of that. So anyways, they keep sending me home. They're like, everything's normal, whatever. And so 3 months go by. And, everyone's like gaslighting me, like, it'll be fine, whatever, your body will adjust. And I'm just getting sicker and sicker and sicker. Literally, like, hair is like coming out. I'm having anaphylactic allergic reactions to everything, like dairy, coffee, like things I never had any health issues prior to this, by the way. Super, super healthy, normal South Asian immune system. And, this is terrifying because health and appearances are my livelihood. Like my thick hair, that I take care of, my healthy skin that I take care of, like that's something that I offer beauty advice about. And suddenly, like, I'm so sick, I can't see, my hands are shaking, I'm having tremors, I'm having cognitive dysfunction, like my immune system in my body is like shutting down. It was like, I don't even know how to describe it. I could not even function. And I go from weightlifting, running half marathons, being super strong, muscular, to not even being able to like walk or climb stairs. And around that time I would, be working out with my trainer and like I would be like shaking. I couldn't even lift like 5 pounds. So then I had to research and I find an immunologist and I go see him. His name is Dr. Lubitz. I'm like, Dr. Lubitz, I'm really sick. I don't know what's happening. Like I've been to the ER like a dozen times. They don't know what's happening. So he just like takes a pen and he like draws on my skin. And you know how your healthy skin bounces back? Mine didn't. So he was like, yeah, something's going on. Something's definitely going on. So he wrote all of these like allergy immunology tests. So like all of like my histamine, tryptase, everything was like crazy elevated, right? Because clearly my body is attacking itself right now. It's like having some sort of a response to something. So he is brilliant. He's been doing this for 40 years. He's been on CNN, brilliant immunologist. But even he doesn't know the ramifications of dissolving dermal filler and what the hell this can trigger in the human body. It can be described as something similar as like breast implant illness, or like, some women that have had like BBLs with like silicone and then their immune system starts attacking themselves. So this can be like one of those things where hyaluronic acid, which is what filler is made of, is dispersed into the bloodstream by dissolving. So now my body thought it was a virus. So my body has now built like, and it's like an antigen antibody reaction, right? So whenever I put on a lipstick with hyaluronic acid, I start reacting again. I have a life-threatening allergic response. So it's kind of one of those things. It's like altering my immune system in some bizarre way. So the body, I think, is thinking that like we have dispersed a virus and now it needs to attack. So it's a hypersensitive, hyperactive immune system that we're dealing with. But how do we treat it? How do we calm it down? I literally cannot work. I'm like basically disabled at this point. I cannot eat. I cannot walk. I cannot function. So now I think we're like 4 months into this whole nightmare. And I'm researching to save my life because no doctor in New York City, no emergency room in New York City can help me even function. Nothing. So to watch myself just rapid, and I've lost like 25 pounds at this point. I've lost all of my muscles. Lost probably like more than half of the hair on my head, having like vision issues. I can't even like hold my phone because I'm having like very, very sick. Then I find this Facebook group. It's called, I think, like botched fillers and hyaluronidase support group. And I find women that have had filler dissolved and now they're basically disabled because their immune system, something triggered in their body. They basically like an autoimmune disease has been introduced just by dissolving filler. So I find like 2-3 cases like that. One girl's name was Freya. I didn't really talk to her that much, but another girl who I'm good friends with now, her name is Fernanda. She lives in Mexico. At that time, she was in the hospital fighting for her life because she developed autoimmune encephalitis, inflammation of the brain. So basically what's happening is a severe inflammatory response in your body, right? The body thinks there's a virus being dispersed by injection and the body's like severe inflammation. Very similar to very sick dying COVID patients, right? That was also inflammatory response to a virus. Very similar kind of a pathology, I would say. And I'm not a doctor again. So like just telling you guys, the information I know, just a disclaimer for anybody.
Yeah,
but based on my research and my experience and knowledge, this is what we have gathered, and my discussions with my immunologist, this is what we've gathered so far. So anyways, Fernanda, I contact her, didn't hear back because she was in the hospital. I think 2-3 weeks later, I think this is end of October, early November. I was very sick at that time. Like I would watch I just didn't think I would have very much time left. I would be sitting with my mom and I'm just like, this is all going to end soon. By the way, my body was just like eating itself, deteriorating. I couldn't recognize myself in a mirror. Very scary. Nothing would stop it. Nothing. I was on steroids, like every medication. My immunologist was trying everything that nothing would work. And then also the FDA and then insurance and all this, like there was no FDA approved medically known treatment. There was no even diagnosis for what was happening to me. So we're fighting insurance companies. I'm doing insane amounts of research. I'm actually kind of surprised that I did as much research work in that state. I was literally researching and fighting for life at that point. So Fernanda finally messages me back one day. And I'm like, thank God. So Fernanda was like, yep, I know what's happening. This is an inflammatory response that is happening that was triggered by dissolving filler. Here's my rheumatologist contact him. So I'm like, I hope he speaks English, which he did. He passed away, actually, sadly, because he was like an older research guy. But he talked to my doctor. Magically, I called him, he answered, they talked. He was like, she's having an inflammatory response. You need to put her on this. So they do. But I think my immune system, it had gone on for so many months that it was very severe. Like I needed like an infusion, like I needed some strong medication to go into my body because my stomach, my digestion also wasn't working. So a lot of the medicines that I would eat, they wouldn't even get absorbed by my by my GI system. Nothing was working. It was a immunological cascade. None of my body systems were functioning properly at all. So anyways, then I did more research and then Fernanda shared her treatments. We tried her treatments. They briefly worked, but what was happening was a lot of makeup has hyaluronic acid. I'm sure, Prati, you know about this. Right? So because now I guess I have an antibody against the filler and hyaluronic acid, whenever I'm using any makeup beauty product, it sets off a reaction, like it re-triggers it. And I know that at that time, right? So I received a rituximab infusion, which is kind of like a chemotherapy. It's like an immunochemotherapy. So I received that as a very expensive infusion that somehow miraculously wasn't even approved, but I received it. Bizarre story, but I got it. So I was good for like 3-4 months, feeling back to normal, feeling great. And then I use a lip gloss. Like I'm back to work. I go to and I use a lip gloss and I'm back in the ER within like 12 hours. Blood pressure drops. My airway starts closing up. I can't breathe. Like I'm deteriorating again really fast. And now the medicine Fernanda told us about and her doctor told us about, it's not working anymore. So I don't know if my body now has like antibodies to it. It's not working. So then I start researching. I was admitted in the hospital for about 2 months, about a month, and then again for 2 weeks. So this was now we're in 2024. Like a year has gone by of me being sick and like disabled. So my parents were like, let's go to Pakistan because nobody can figure out anything. You've talked to everybody. You've talked to the best of the best. I mean, New York City is the place, one would come to. We're not in a small town here, right? So having a journalism background, I'm emailing people like at all the top research institutes in America. Physicians, researchers, everybody. There's nothing. So I got in touch with Dr. Schoenfeld. He has done a lot of research on Asia syndrome, which is basically a syndrome that can get triggered by breast implant, like any adjuvant, any foreign object that is going into the body, whether it's like a mesh implant, a vaccine, filler, silicone. There have been known cases where people get really sick because your immune system just responds very aggressively to it, right? And hyper your immune system. Got in touch with him. I was like, hey, this is what's happening. But at this point, nobody knows what treatments are going to stop this. We're literally effing around and finding out at this point. Me, my doctor, Dr. Schoenfeld, all of us. And like Fernanda has been a really good friend because, she's gone through, she lost a lot through this illness and the recovery. And even now, our bodies and our health is still very sensitive. We're not back to normal like we once were. But anyways, I was like, wait a minute, this treatment that she used, this was used with dying COVID patients. So was there an alternate treatment that was used for people that didn't respond? And that's how I found the medication that once again stabilized me. So then I was like, Dr. Lubitz, we need to try this. I sent him like medical journals, research, this, that. And my parents, and you guys also, I was very scared because you can die from these treatments. These are like hours long infusions, you can also have an allergic reaction to the medicine and die. And it's not even funny because people have lost their lives. Young people have actually passed away from some of these treatments.
Exactly.
So for me, I'm fighting for them. I'm researching, I'm advocating for them, but deep down, I'm terrified because I am seeing death very, very, I have met death 4 or 5 times very closely. And I think it has changed me on a DNA level. And that a freaking harmless beauty procedure led me to this moment is mind blasting.
Yeah.
2 years later, telling the story to you guys. So it's all of this out of body, freaky, weird experience, right? Mm-hmm. But there are a lot of people, men and women, going through this. So if me sharing my treatment and my story can help them fight one more day and see the light at the end of the tunnel, then that's what we're gonna do, right? Because I get a lot of messages from people like that on WhatsApp, from all around the country, on Instagram, everywhere. So if I can't read and respond to all those messages, at least I can acknowledge that here. And just, it's important to not feel alone because you will lose friends. You will lose your career. You will lose your health. You will lose your looks. You will lose everything that made you you. But at the end of the day, you still have to fight. You have to keep fighting because I was convinced I would not live. And the fact that I'm talking about this today is very weird. It's giving me goosebumps. So we do that treatment. I'm doing these monthly infusions, right? I'm having all sorts of other things go wrong with my body. I'm having joint problems, side effects, iron infusions, malnutrition. I'm gaining a lot of weight, then I'm losing a lot of weight, then I'm gaining, I'm losing a lot of hair. So I have lost that Rohma Siddiqui identity at this point. I have lost a lot of friends in New York City. I am going through financial crises. At one time, I remember there was $17 in my bank account. I've gone through all my savings. Everything's gone. It's all over. Everything's gone. Everything that I worked, my whole life prior to that is gone, erased. So then it's who are you? What do I do? I'm still very sick. My health is very sensitive. Then I started meditating a lot. I had a very deep spiritual awakening, I guess, because what do you do when all of the material comforts and luxuries and all of those things that we work so hard for and put so much importance on go away? Nothing. You just, you turn to spirituality, I guess. So that's what I did. I was reading a lot of Dr. Joe Dispenza books. I was lucky enough to go to one of his retreats. I received a coherence energy healing there. And that's actually right before when on all the treatments, I started finding them and I started getting approved for them. I don't know how powerful or accurate that stuff is, but my life did start changing the more spiritual I became. The universe started leading me to the right people, the right doctors, the right treatments, the right research. I mean, I busted my behind, getting there, but you can do all you want, but the doors open when they're meant to, right? Yeah. And that's when I surrendered. I was I don't know if I'm going to live, die. I don't know if this infusion is going to work, not. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, there were moments where I would be in Dr. Lubitz's office crying. He would be crying because he saw the before, right? He saw my social media. He was like, I can't believe all this is happening. He's watching me not being able to walk. I'm in a wheelchair. It's unfathomable to me, my parents, my friends. I actually just met one of my doctor friends this afternoon, and today, after 2 years, was the first time we had lunch and hung out outside of a hospital setting. Wow. It's really crazy, and it's very emotional because you meet the end so closely and you lose everything, right? Like I couldn't use any beauty products. I couldn't wear any makeup. I'm having reactions to everything. I'm like allergic to living. My body is literally attacking me. So, and you know, it's one thing, you guys, I think it's like if it randomly happens, you're like, oh, it's destiny, or like, oh, it's genetic. But it's like, no, this was like induced by like a cosmetic procedure that's supposed to actually enhance your beauty and your career and your life, you know, and your confidence. And it took everything away. So, and now it's like, you know, people on Instagram that are going through this, other victims and patients, they're finding me and they're like, you look so beautiful and you're healthy again and you healed. And it's so heartbreaking to tell them that, no, like I have really bad days still. I'm still on medications. I still have a lot of joint problems. I still have not been to the gym. I haven't exercised. I haven't lifted a weight. I just texted my trainer an hour ago. I'm like, hey, I'm still alive. I just haven't gotten the okay to exercise, you know? I miss doing regular things. I miss just eating food and not being worried about, you know, whether my stomach and my body is going to have a life-threatening reaction to it. I miss the days where I just didn't have to worry about, you know, like my hair falling out every time I just like run my fingers through. So it's just little things like that, breathing, being able to breathe. These weird small things that we would never look at as a luxury. That is my luxury now. So my perception to the world has changed. Everything has changed, but I think maybe it was meant to teach me certain things in life. And I think one of those things is that you have to stand up for yourself and advocate for yourself. I think a lot of these patients, they were like heavily gaslit by the medical system. There have been a couple of patients that have taken their own lives because they can't get medical help or a diagnosis or a treatment. I was a know-it-all and I fought. And I had Dr. Lubitz by my side, but he's like, at this point, like, you're the doctor.
I mean, it goes to show like that's a part of you since the pageantry.
Yeah. I was a firecracker and I fought. And you know, sometimes you get scared, you guys. Like I might be a know-it-all, but it's scary. Like what if you're wrong? I would look at my mom and I'd be like, Mom, what if this treatment doesn't work and I die? And my mom was like, yeah, but like, what if it does work? Then we don't. She was like, what other choice do you have? And I was like, that's a good point. I don't have any other choice.
It's crazy because like you kind of like went in and nobody knows anything. Like not even the doctors.
At that point,
being
like,
a patient zero is very, very frightening.
Patient zero. Exactly. She's a patient zero of this case.
Fernanda's patient zero. I think Fernanda's patient zero. But then now we know that her treatment is not the miracle cure for everybody. Everybody. Immune system responds differently to different stimuli and medications, right? So it's like if the 5 of us were taking one medication, we would all be having different outcomes and side effects.
Yeah, so what works for you doesn't work for other.
So we're learning. This is like I think eventually, hopefully, there will be medical protocols in place. And that's my goal. And that's also Fernanda's goal. She's very active in a lot of these groups and educating with people with her story and helping people, you know, kind of stay away from triggers and healing holistically. Like, so I think her and I both do our part. And, you know, I kind of made a promise to her. I was like, I want to use whatever influence or, you know, fame that God has given me to educate or create whatever I can do, because I just never even thought I would be back on a camera or like living my old life again. So, you know, if I even get a little glimpse of it, I'm very grateful.
Absolutely. In a different way, right? I mean, like, do you, and, you know, especially now, I see a lot of these clinics opening up, even in Texas, and I see a lot of it in Instagram, right? Even in the Nepali community, like, a lot of people are doing it. Forget about that too. I mean, like even the laser hair removal stuff. I mean, I'm so shocked. Like how many different procedures that are coming up, right?
Even the hair transplant. Those are even like I heard like really dangerous.
Yeah,
for the doctor
men.
Doesn't. Yeah, for men.
For the men, you know, going to Turkey and And when
even in Nepal?
yeah, I mean,
Even
if
in
you
Nepal.
think about something as simple as, and Botox is something that we've heard about like since like 70s and 80s, right? Like, it was supposed to be a posh thing back in the day, but now it's popping up everywhere because that was a very expensive treatment or thing to do back in the day. Now because it's so available. I beg to question, after hearing your story, like how are they mass producing something like this that is allowing these businesses to turn in a profit and being able to let every Joe Schmo or Mary Jane to go into one of these spots and be able to afford it,
Right.
afford it, and and magically think that it could just go away.
And even what she said, like the chemicals that they're using is not FDA approved or not researched. You cannot find it anywhere. So how can they tell people, like, I don't think they want to tell it.
Yeah.
But this is like so dangerous though.
I mean, so like you going through all this, I mean, like brave. I think you're still fighting. You're still fighting.
What happened?
Yeah. What okay, I remember when you talked about it, I want you to like tell like young girls especially, because I feel like the newer generation are getting these procedures done way more often, because it used to be something like, oh, I'm getting older, I see my wrinkles.
I think it's much more normalized right now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's absolutely.
I think Prapti wants to ask a question.
Prapti.
Yeah, I'm a girl. I'm young, so I'm gonna ask. Sorry. First of all, like, I'm at loss of words of how you had to experience that near life death situation. That sounds very traumatizing. I'm pretty sure that has left a mark on you to the point where if you get sick now, that's the first thing that's gonna come to your head. So honestly, loss of words, like, you're very resilient, and it's amazing to see that characteristic in somebody, and being able to like research and do what you were doing and figure out a solution for yourself that everybody could not help out.
I did, yeah.
That's amazing. And I don't know if anybody has said that, like, but kudos to you for like figuring not just it out for you, but also trying to help that information and give it to other people. I did want to like leave that appreciation out there before I jump into the next section. But as you can see, I can see that like your background from journalism, that really helped you do a research on what you wanted. Right. At this point, hearing your story, I was like, you should be the doctor there. You should be the one giving them like regulation keys. And like, I'm not sure like if there are people who work within this field who can help regulate that, but definitely you would be a really big asset for these people. Mm-hmm. Your story, I had a lot of questions while I was hearing it. So I'm going to start one by one. With first one that I did have was because it's not regulated, and a lot of people do have allergic reaction, and we do see that in social media, especially with how much people post and everything. We see that more often now than it used to be, especially with people admitting that it's okay to get Botox. It's okay for any kind of like cosmetic procedure, if it's hair, nose, whatever it is. Right. People are now more accepting of that of that part of anyone who decides. Yeah. And that's something that a lot of people are taking partake in now that it's normalized. Because it's not regulated, are there not anything businesses do to check if you are allergic to the component within whatever they use in Botox?
I think so, not all of them do, but you do sign a waiver that you may not. And then the problem is that the body doesn't react sometimes right away. Sometimes, like for me, this was like the 4th or 5th time where the system was just like, holy, like what is going, then that's when it triggered, when they gave me a double dose of the dissolver. Okay. I think they did 4 vials, and before they were just doing tiny bits, right? So my body was like, my body was trying to stay in equilibrium, but when they used a larger dose, then just that was the day my whole life changed forever. So it's not being regulated. You know why? And I think this is the downside of capitalism. So basically, Allergan Aesthetics is creating great aesthetic products, right? Botox, Juvederm, all types of filler. I could give you guys a 2-hour presentation on it because as an influencer, I was promoting these products, right? So I had to research them, and I would never want my audience or my followers to be putting anybody's health or any safety at risk for a harmless cosmetic procedure. Now, the gray area is happening when you're mixing and matching products from companies. So now, like, there's Daxify, there's like all these different companies that are creating Botox and dermal fillers, like Restylane. So when you're mixing, matching, and then the dissolver, that's not even like, that's a whole different ball game, right? So when you're intertwining and mixing these things and you get sick and God forbid something happens, what do? Who is to take responsibility? And that's the position that me and all the victims were a part of. Who the hell will take responsibility? The doctors don't know. Medically, you're being gaslit. You're losing everything. You're becoming literally disabled. These aesthetics, these injectors, they don't know. They're also gaslighting you, saying that this can never happen. We've never seen it. So just because you haven't seen it doesn't mean that it can't happen. It's happening to thousands of people, right? So I think that actually is what makes our voices even more like crucial and important, because it probably won't happen to you, hopefully not, right? Like most likely it's safe, but God forbid if it does, what do? We're not gonna, like, I really hope that I don't have to hear about somebody taking their own life because of something like this. You know, you go to get a cosmetic procedure and now everything is over. That is horrifying. It should not, like, this should not even be coming out of, these words should not be spoken ever. So
I mean, not everybody is resilient as you. Like, people are different, right? People have a lower span.
But you guys, this is preventable.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Preventable. Like, doctors, injectors, they should know, you know, and God forbid a reaction like this happens. You go to the ER, they need to immediately hook you up with a steroid IV. They need to immediately give you like some sort of immunological treatment. So I hope my research and my resilience does not go in vain. And we still don't have all the answers. And that's why, like, me and Dr. Lubitz, you know, we talk every weekend. We go through all the emerging research, right? Like, I haven't stopped. This will live on, you know, in my mind. And I hope that we come across something that's just putting an end.
Do you think that industry has a big pull into, like, governing? Because you know how the American US government works, like lobbying and stuff. So when you want to bring in some sort of, like, I guess, regulation saying that cosmetic industries need to be able to disclose whatever they're utilizing, chemicals they're utilizing, to hospitals or the medical agencies, so that way they know how to, like, deal with this. Or before you release a product to be used on so many individuals, right? And if X, Y, and Z happens, then solution A, B, and C needs to be created before you can do that. Do you feel like that's a roadblock for you?
Well, you know, you guys, I think this is, like, even for them, even for businesses, this is unknown territory, right? Because so, like, the team at Allergan, they're aware of, you know, I had a Zoom call with them very when I was very sick, and I told them that, hey, like, I was creating content and all of this happened. So I kind of disappeared from the face of the earth because I was very sick. So I think maybe in the future, me sitting down with their team would be something useful, right? And help them also navigate as a company that, hey, like, this could happen. And, you know, my doctor said something very interesting, because he's so good at, like, he has no ego. So he was like, listen, Rohma, the immune system in the human body, medicine, some things in medicine, they're not predictable. That, oh, when we put this in the body, this will happen. And also everybody's immune system and body is different. Like we went about. So they're cleaning their hands, right? Like, you're signing a waiver before your Botox appointment that you may or may not, you know, we've seen severe anaphylactic reaction. We've seen this. It may or may not happen to you. Overall, it's safe. Like, pretty much you're good. now you're having like threads, you're having Botox, filler, dissolver, you're having all these substances injected in your body. My dad always says one thing: you can put it in, but you can't take it out.
That's so true. That's so true, man.
Slow and slow. Because even with medicine, you don't like, go 0 to 100 right away. Observe, watch, listen to your body. So these things, they're actually very important. And, people are not going to stop getting Botox or filler. And that's not even what I'm advocating. I don't know if I ever can, because I don't know what my immune system. I think I will probably have a response to it. So something I can't do. And it's really sad, actually, because that's my space. The beauty space is my space. So this whole scenario changed how I function and how I create content, right? But people that are like 17, 18, 19 years old are getting their lips done.
Yeah.
So make an educated decision. This podcast should, I hope this digital footprint of mine is there forever, because please watch this before you go get lip filler.
Also, like, if let's say someone watches podcast and they want to get a hold of you because maybe they're going through something like that, because you know how the South Asian community, when something bad's happening, they like to, majority of us try to keep quiet, right?
Secret. 3 Pakistani girls email me, and they asked me for my immunologist contact, and they told me within 3 months their health, body, fully disabled, lost job. Like, it's terrifying that but this already happened. And, and they sent paragraphs because they're so desperate. I did the same thing. I think I sent Fernanda like 8, 9 paragraphs telling her what was happening to me and my health. And I was desperate. I was like, I'm going to die if something doesn't happen. I can't, I am in extreme, unexplainable pain. So I respond to them. If I can't respond a long message, I will still give them the main, stop doing this, do this, reach out to my doctor, quick. We want to at least put you out of an emergency, dangerous situation where you might think about taking your life because you're in so much pain and disability.
Yeah.
I do that has already happened.
And what do you think, like a business, so I know like a lot of people that in the Nepali community, I know are getting into this. And I want to give a little shout out to Ruby. Ruby, introduced Rohma to us. She's a really good friend. She's also a nurse.
Yeah.
And she's one of your top fans. So she was like very, very sad, like when she didn't even know what's happening, right? Yeah. And she found out through another a nurse. And then that's when she really connected with you, and she really wanted to make sure that you're okay. So, and I'm grateful to have that opportunity and this story, because this is what we also create the podcast for. So make sure influencers like you, people like you who have gone through these situations, that, social media's things, it's okay, it's normal, everybody gets it. It's a new thing, it's a new fad, right? Yeah. People only want to talk about the pros, the good stuff, but never the negative stuff. Like when it goes bad, how seriously can it go bad, right?
It can go very bad.
Yeah.
It can go very bad, as we are now seeing. Yeah. And you're a prime example of it. And, and you have so many connections and you have so much research on it. The amount of time it took you, like the fact that you said you had $17 in your bank account, all that hard work gone, right? Yeah.
So
I'm still recovering, you guys. It's been rough.
Yeah. And it's still ongoing. So
support me.
No, and it's still ongoing, and that's something that people need to realize.
2 years later, we're still fighting. But if you're alive, keep fighting.
Yeah. I mean, reach out to Rohma. We'll put her Instagram handle. We'll share it as much as possible. And I think what about an advice for anybody who's looking to businesses, like going to this kind of business? What would you give them? What kind of advice?
Medical injectables, right?
Business. Anything, even if it's laser hair removal, because you never know. People can get,
Oh, you guys.
There's not 100% chance.
I think
different body reacts to different things.
Yeah.
Wait.
Totally.
I have questions from people that have long-term burn marks from laser. And actually, I want to mention this, you guys, because I saw so many videos on this recently, and I personally know a friend who went through this, and she's been going through this trauma for 2 years. So Morpheus 8 lasers, a lot of the face lasers. Young women need to be careful doing this, because some of these lasers, they're burning your natural fat pads.
Okay.
So they're sold this procedure by businesses, right? Because we're living in a capitalistic society. They're sold this procedure, they're paying thousands of dollars, and then now they're saying that these lasers are melting their fat pads. So now they're looking much older than their age.
Yeah.
And now they have to get filler to undo the damage that this procedure did. So you're like in this weird rabbit hole now. Like, why? Right? So I think, don't be a guinea pig. Do your research. Less is more. Go low and slow.
Yeah.
The way I saw it based on what you said is, from what I understand, from business point of view, they just want to make money because they make you sign a waiver.
Yes.
Anyway, so it definitely is on the patient to do their research. As a person who also looked into Botox, like hearing your story, I don't think I ever want to sign up for that anymore.
It changes. Like all of my friends, like some of them, I have a lot of like physician friends. They're like, what the hell, man? You know, everyone messages me. They're like,
it is
post because I was about to go.
insane. Yeah, it is insane.
I don't want to, like, you guys, I don't want to stop people from doing it because, like, you know, most people do just fine. You know, I went like probably 10 years, you know, with Botox and filler doing great. Just go low and slow. But the thing is, miraculously, I just never dissolved, right? And then some people, they do dissolve their filler and nothing to them.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, we need to go into things with education, knowledge, power here, right? And okay, God forbid something does happen to you. It's okay. Go to the ER, watch this podcast, you know, go read, you know, those posts Fernanda has made in a public Facebook support group. So God forbid if you are one of those unlucky people with those sensitive immune systems that this has happened to, there are answers and solutions now, right?
Yeah.
So it's just about being smart, intentional, and cautious with every decision you're making, right? Whether it's getting implants, whether it's altering your body, because, you know, obviously we want self-love. We want you to be confident, and these things, they can help, but it's just, it's knowing. It's knowing when to stop, what to do, being careful, doing your research. And this is actually why social media and our voices and awareness is like,
It matters.
Yeah.
Also, I wanted to ask what the reactions and the response was from the two companies that you worked with. One from the Botox one and one from the dissolvable one.
So the dissolver company, I could never get in touch with. But
Interesting.
obviously,
That's interesting.
Not surprising.
yeah. But Allergan Aesthetics, you know, obviously I was a model for them and an influencer for them.
Yeah.
But they better care. But I don't really know, you guys. I'm kind of like, there's a lot of gray area and weirdness. So I don't know, like, let me just tell you guys what's up. So I talked to their PR team. I told them this is what's happening. They obviously, surprise, I've never heard of this. You know, this has never happened before. So they just sent me a list of like doctors and rheumatologists, their team in LA, in New York City that I could reach out to. And I'm like, I've already reached out to all of these doctors, you know? So beyond that, there was really nothing that could be done.
Yeah.
And like legally, there's a lot of gray areas because, you know, a lot of people, it was used to be a class action lawsuit, so many victims, which is true. People have lost their lives. People have lost their jobs. People have lost their marriages, relationships. People have lost so much. I am also one of those people, by the way. But but the fact that other people are going through what I did, that is what makes me want to cry. And I have cried about it, and it breaks my heart because this shit needs to stop. Like, you go to, you know, get prettier, and now you're in the friggin' hospital, like
trying to like beg for your life.
You know, the thing that it all comes down to, right? And I might be very, very
bold?
like, not bold. I guess
Old,
like
old, not bold, old.
well, I'm bold enough to say it. I think, you know, after hearing Rohma's story, right, just like how everything all began, and seeing like there's a lot of things that connects everything. Like, one is the beauty standards, right? One is definitely the beauty standards, because when I was growing up and learning about these things, it was mostly the older white women, you know, who in Beverly Hills that wanted to look young, always young, right?
like facelifts and medical status symbol.
And also with beauty standards, from like, sorry to cut you off, but like right now in today's world, I think a lot of us, because we've been seeing those button nose and all the fun stuff, which we want to, our ethnic features, we want to remove that and get surgeries, procedure, whatever it is, like the beauty standard, like you said. I think everybody has started in a way looking same because of this.
Yeah.
And especially young girls.
There's a fun. No, I wouldn't say it was a funny story. So my brother, my sister-in-law, she's South Korean, right? And my brother said like he went to South Korea and he was like, if you think like Beverly Hills is like the plastic surgery capital of the world, he's like South Korea puts them to shame.
Yeah,
And
South Korea and China too. It's very similar.
But South Korea is like top, right?
Yep.
A new emerging hotspot.
Exactly.
Fly here, obviously there for medical tourism and like aesthetics because the cost is lower. So
So what he was saying was over here, like usually, well, back in the early 2000s, you would get a car when you graduate high school, right? Over there, you would get like plastic surgery when you graduate high school. And then my brother, for the first time when he went to South Korea, Surisdai, like, he was flipping through channels and he legit said, like, Lisa was there too. He legit says, honey, how is the same person on every news channel or every TV? And she's like, stop being dumb. She thought he was just making a joke because he's like, he does dumb jokes like that, with his wife. And then even she takes the camera and she's like, oh my God, everybody has the same like surgery done to them in South Korea. Where like, on TV, like everybody has the same features. Everybody's done the same procedure.
Yeah, their glass skin.
Yeah, and exactly. And it's crazy. Like that was the first time he like told me, and I didn't really think big of it, right? And then and I see like the trends nowadays. And then after hearing Roma's story, I was like, oh my God, like that is just what we're being able to see, right? We only see the good stuff. We never get to see the bad stuff. And the whole idea of the beauty standards has been ever changing. Because I remember a time where, like, when I went to high school, girls didn't used to wear makeup, and we found them pretty anyways.
Right.
And when I went to college, like, I think the most they had was mascara, right?
Yeah.
And lipstick. Lipstick was like, oh my God, you're going on a date.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you knew you were going on a date if a girl was
lipstick
wearing
was a big deal,
right? And now it's like everybody's wearing makeup, everybody's top notch, and it's like that extra pressure, especially for the younger generation, because like Roma said, 18, 19-year-olds, you're getting lip fillers, you're getting Botox. That's unheard of.
Yeah.
I have a question for Roma on this exact thing, is with whatever he said, right? With the beauty standards and everything. How do you see, especially as an influencer, but not just that, but also coming from a journalist background and your pageantry background, since you've been kind of in a space where beauty does matter, the whole experience, how much has that changed your perspective on not just life, but beauty in general, and how social media portrays women and how they should look and be a certain way?
That is a very, very amazing question. I think it's one of my favorite questions. Because I live it every day. That's why. So it's scary, to be honest with you, because also we like to get control over what we look like.
Yeah.
The way we are born, you can't mimic what nature and the universe and God does, So a lot of it is your relationship with yourself. I now am just like happy to be alive, happy to be able to eat, sit with my friends, laugh with my friends. But obviously you want to feel confident and you want to feel beautiful. But it's interesting navigating aging, social media pressure, your entire career relying on these things. But at the end of the day, like if I just look like every other person, like you said, when you're in South Korea, a lot of people, it's the same person. Why are people going to sit there and listen to me? So we need to really dig deeper. It's much, much deeper. And, in beauty pageants, we used to say like beauty should be skin deep. And it sounds funny, but the older I get, the more spiritual I get, beauty really is skin deep. Because, when you're 80 years old, sometimes like I look at my grandmother and I'm like, she's so beautiful, because you see the wrinkles and the cuteness and the wisdom and the depth and and then you're like, whoa. So it's important to remember to not erase the parts of you that make you you.
Yeah.
Right? Filler and Botox is like erasing a lot of those things, the uniqueness and characteristics of our features and who we are and our identities. So yeah, it's good, you know, makeup, braces, glasses, contacts, hair dye, everything is altering your appearance, not just fillers and Botox. Everything, right? But make sure you use these things as a tool to enhance who you really are and not erase who you are supposed to be and who you want to be.
That is beautifully said. That is very beautifully said. I think it's not about what other people think of you. It's about what you think about yourself. Like how you want to present yourself is more important than.
And by the way, will that filler and Botox actually make you feel better? Because if like it's not going to be a magical fix, right?
Yeah.
The self inner work is a magical fix, but yeah, like we have these tools and these things to our expense. So yeah, we should use them responsibly and safely. There's nothing wrong with it, but yeah. But what's the purpose and intention behind it? I think is important. So
yeah, like you said, I think awareness matters. At the end of the day, especially you know, I know me and Ashu. I think Ashu, like you're a young kid, man. You see, you're going out with, you know, you hang out with, you know, girls your age, like younger age. It's just a lot of pressure. Like what do you think about, like, what is your expectation now when you go out, let's say on a date and someone?
Me personally, I think a lot of the scars, tissues, or whatever imperfections that they have, I say to them, that's what makes you you. That's what you know. That's your feature, and that is a part of you. It is part of your life. Even myself, I have a broken nose over here. I don't know if you can see it in the camera. It's a little bit crooked over here. Yeah.
I'll watch this back and zoom in.
Yeah, but I mean, I think you can see it on the camera. It's a little bit crooked here. It's broken. I broke it like when I was really, really young. And then my sister, they're in the medical field too. They told me, okay, hey, don't you want to get it straightened out? You know? And then I was like, no, this is a part of me. That was a part of my childhood. And I want to keep it. It's like a battle scar, you know? I want to keep this. It's a part of who I am, and it's a part that defines me. So I'm going to keep this. This is So that's what I tell to other people too. Like if they don't feel secure about it, you know, I just tell them, hey, like that's what I kind of like about you, you know. Some people have like moles or stuff. Some people have a little bit of scars, a little bit of, you know, different features, and that's what I like about most people. That tells a different story about them. That gives a little bit insight into their life story. So
it makes them a little bit different.
Exactly.
It's like what John Legend said, like your perfect imperfections, right?
Yep.
So
I think.
Yes. Sorry, I'm so sorry.
Sure.
Would you think the same if you were a woman and not a man?
I know. I was actually exactly going to touch on that because you said like how he views women, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the whole problem, is women having to center how they should look around men. And that should not be the standard, because of that standard, the beauty standard today is all messed up.
Yeah.
I do think that it should not be based on like what a guy is going to think. It's more like within yourself, like Rohma said. And another thing is, I think when you are young, especially when you're in teenage years, you're very insecure about how you look and who you are. And there are a lot of features you want to change and make changes within yourself. I mean, I was one of them where I wanted to change my nose. I wanted to do a lot of other things. However, the more I grow, I've realized that I think, and a lot of women can relate, is that you grow into your features.
Yeah.
And you start finding that better. And I know a lot of people, even celebrities like Bella Hadid, she regrets that she did her plastic surgery for her nose so early because it took her ethnic features away, because she's half Palestinian. So there are like certain things like that where I think it's women having to conform to the societal norms and being able to, because right now if you see a like 28, 29-year-old and they have a little bit of wrinkle here, people post mean comments like, oh, you look your age, or like, are you 28, you look 35 or something like that. And you know, that's that's where the beauty standard is
that
at.
you know, and just to answer your question, like I don't think I would ever know what you guys would go through as a female, you know, to
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm saying, like, you know, guys get away with dad bods. Like,
Yep.
But I
let's
would
be
also
real.
like to like tell something. Even the guys, it's like the same area with the steroids and things that you
Yeah, yeah.
pump up and
Yeah.
try to like look better for the girls. And
I think
stuff.
it's not as predominant as what
Yeah, it's not predominant, but
like
like
the
it's
what
getting really
females go
though.
through, you
Yeah.
know.
It's getting really like more boys are and I think there are stories of boys who's going through the same, because it's a substance that you put inside your body, right?
Yeah.
And it's really harmful. And there's a boy just like her suffering from these kinds of symptoms.
yeah.
Right.
And that's really hazardous to them. Though.
Yeah, I mean, but the beauty standard is definitely different for guys than it is for girls.
Yeah,
Like, you know, you can,
It's
you know,
much stricter.
I think
for
guys
girls.
get away with it
With
a lot.
Yeah, that's the truth. That's true, because, like I said, guys get away with dad bods. Like, guys get away with.
I
Like,
mean,
you know,
like, usually an average man is, you know, an average man, they don't need to do fillers or any cosmetic procedure for somebody to tell them that they're perfect. You barely hear a lot of guys who would get rid of any features in their face that would make them, because I think we're all okay with the fact that, oh, men can look this way, but when women look a certain way, that's a problem most of the times. But I do have one last question. I know we're almost running out of time, so I did have one last question.
Sure.
And it could be like a closing question too. But looking back and reflecting on everything that you've done and with everything that you've faced, I know it's a messed up question in a way, but would you do this all over again? Or because you did go through a lot, but
Such a good question, man. Okay. Like peeking into my soul and asking these questions. So, all 2 years, I would tell my dad, my friends, I'm like, man, if I could go back in time, I miss my old life. I miss it. I miss it. I wish I could go back in time and undo it. But today, if you ask me, I probably wouldn't want to do that, because then I wouldn't be me.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Like, changed me in profound ways that I can't even put into words.
Mm-hmm.
So today, no, because, well, I don't even have the freedom to. Like, I'm not even the one driving this car, I guess, right? Because 5-year plan, I knew what I was going to do. Like, everything was great. Everything was good. And then suddenly, you know, the universe throws this huge curveball. Now what? I think these are the moments that actually, like, shape our identities, right?
yeah.
Hardship, needing to be resilient when you just want to give up, run away, hide. But then where do you go? So no, actually, because I don't even have that freedom. Besides, like, previously wishing I could, but I was a whole different person then. Like, just shifted. Like, the world around me is the same, but it's like my whole perception and how I'm viewing things is like.
And then you wake up with, I think we lack that. I know I wake up every day and I don't think like I'm grateful for my life, but I'm pretty sure with everything that you've gone through, you are every day grateful for
more grateful. And I think I don't want to say I'm more of a risk taker, but it's like now I live in the present moment. And I think that is what one of the biggest changes. Because like before, you know, with social media, it's like content, this, that, video. Like I never sat down and just enjoyed a moment. Sometimes there were, you know, I was busy with work. I didn't have time to, you know, talk to my parents on the phone or my grandparents on the phone. Now I'm like, stop. Because whatever's going to happen, happens, right? And we don't need to be so consumed by tomorrow or material things or attaining a certain status or position here. Just enjoy the present moment, right? So I have simplified things a lot now. And I enjoy the simpler joys and luxuries in life, whether you're sitting down in a park and just meditating or like breathing deeply and connecting with nature, connecting with my loved ones, my family. So things, maybe I'm just becoming more of an old lady, but like,
no, I think
the moment is important.
I think what you really are saying something that what society kind of needs, because it's moving so fast.
It's too much.
it's moving so fast to the point, like you just said it, like before all this happened, you didn't even have time to talk to your parents, your grandparents, because you're always trying to find the next thing, to do that. And I think, like you said, you wouldn't change it because, I guess, it taught us a lot of things. And then your experiences should teach everybody else as well, not even just because people should have like the surgery or whatever, any form of like life in general. Yeah, we have to like slow down a little bit. I think everything's moving.
Because we're running fast, chasing after all these things, but we all have the same destination.
Yeah.
In a coffin.
Yeah.
Cremated, but yeah.
Family, we're ignoring ourselves, we're ignoring our health, we're doing so much, we're ignoring our well-being, and it's like you should just take that 1 hour to like chill out, relax, listen to you, do what makes you happy, because like your time even on earth is not guaranteed. Like anything can happen at any moment. Your life can change for good or for bad at any second. So I don't think we're in as much control as we like to think, but the lack of control freaks us out as human beings. So I try to be intentional now. So that's one thing I learned from all of this.
I do have a final question for me. Something similar to what Prapti asked, but like, what advice would you give for a little Pakistani Muslim girl growing up in Minnesota, looking up to you? What advice would you give to her? Maybe she's like in her like early
or
teens
every
or
South
something.
Asian girl.
Yeah, or early. Yeah, that too.
Man, my advice to every South Asian girl is learn to listen to yourself and trust yourself, because your parents are going to say one thing. Like everyone is going to have a perception of who you should be, what you should do, what's right and what's wrong. But that doesn't necessarily mean that. And if you want to take a risk, take an educated risk, bet on yourself. Don't just do something just because you're supposed to do it, or like your family or someone thinks you're supposed to do it, because only do it if you want the kind of life that the people that are saying that have, if that makes sense. If you have big goals and dreams, you want to do something different, then you have to trust yourself and listen to yourself. And that is valid in everything that you do in life, relationships, work, career. You just have to trust and listen to yourself. How are you going to do that? Spend time with yourself, analyze yourself, make a list, write in a journal. Where do you want to be? Who you are? What you want to do? Read books. Like refine your relationship with yourself and who you are. And it's going to take you places that you never thought you could go. And I say that from experience, because I was also a little girl in Fort Wayne, Indiana, who never thought, like, I hadn't even been to New York City, you guys. I didn't even know how to like take a subway but nothing. I knew nothing, zero. So this is how it all starts. It all starts with a vision or a goal or a dream, and then things appear. So don't be like, I'm in a small town, I can't even think that. Like I used to look at magazines and I would be like, this is so crazy, right? So like my first, like I was on a magazine cover and I'm like, this is so weird, because like I never saw that happening in my reality. But if things change. So it's important to bet on yourself and take a risk. Be your biggest fan. Believe in yourself. Not in a narcissistic, crazy.
No, I mean,
they're actually insecure and they need to do the work.
Yeah.
So do it in like a very intentional, quiet confidence kind of a way.
Yeah. Just try. Just keep trying. That's what it is.
Never give up. If you're alive, you gotta fight and you gotta try. So now that I'm still alive, luckily, we're just gonna, keep talking and keep living life. And
absolutely. And we would love to have you back on.
Thank you.
Updates, because you're still researching, you're still doing a lot of things. I know like 2 hours is not enough. It's always never enough.
Chatted for an hour, so it just like flies by. So.
Yeah, right. But towards the closing of this episode, I really wanted, this to be about you, that's why I told, we just wanted to hear your story. And I really appreciate you coming on this podcast, because, I have a 13-year-old niece who's like, when she was small, like Chuck E. Cheese, Mama take me to Chuck E. Cheese and Dave and Buster's. And now it's like, can I get a gift card for Ulta? Right, $100. So
$100.
Yeah.
Do you know how expensive makeup is?
Okay, it makes sense.
She's 13 years old. She was 12.
$100 is nothing, man.
I know. I didn't know that.
I can barely get 2 or 3 products from that, right?
Well, this is a 12-year-old at that point in time we were talking about. So I didn't want her to go crazy. I was like, all right, just little stuff, right?
Okay.
But it gives me like, after hearing your story, like I'm thinking about her because I'm her uncle. I want to protect her. I want her to be more educated. I want her, she's growing up to be, now she's in her teens. She's going to go to high school, right? I have other like nieces back home in Nepal. I don't talk to them as much because they're not here. I can't talk to them on a daily basis. So it's like I want them to also see this and be able to like learn from it, like make more educated decisions. And I think the message that you've given us with this opportunity and this podcast, and you being able to come back up and tell us your research it's very important, especially for the younger girls. And I thank you for coming, Prapti. Prapti learned a lot today. She's not going to have Botox.
I think we are always all learning.
I mean, I would say never say never, because I'm never going to say like I'm not never going to get Botox. What if I do? Yeah. I never know. Like,
I'll also tell you one fact about Botox. This I learned like really in small child. It's produced by a bacteria. That's one of the most toxic bacteria ever in the world, actually.
Damn.
People do not know this.
Yeah.
It's one of the most toxic bacteria
Mike's
ever.
our researcher.
Whoa.
So
No, I found this in a TV channel. They were like, these bacteria you can even find in like food cans that are not stored properly.
Oh.
So these bacteria are discovered from over there.
I mean, listen, like but that's the whole thing, right? We don't know about these kind of things.
Yeah, you have to research. That's her like message. Research before you get into something.
And once again, Rohma, I really appreciate it. Before I want to give you the last
wait, before that, I was talking before that. I just wanted to quickly say thank you so much, Rohma, for coming and doing this conversation. And honestly, I am really amazed by how positive you have outlook with everything after everything you went through. Like, what a positive outlook you have in life. And that's really amazing. And I think that really gives hope to a lot of like young people and also people who are going through these changes or like maybe battling with dissolve issues or Botox issues.
Yeah. I just want to add something to what you said. One important message I think to everybody is that when you look at an influencer's Instagram or social media and you see the glamour, fashion, clothes, and you're like, wow, I wish I had their life. Don't ever wish that. People always like, you guys, it actually is heartbreaking because people are like, wow, your life just looks amazing and perfect. And I have moments where I'm lonely, hopeless, broken, crying, sad. I'm going through all the same human emotions, struggles, worries, day to day. Like, I'm just not showing you that. So you don't actually see all of my life, right? And please don't ever be hard on yourself just because someone is selling you, like, I'm doing my job. I'm selling a beautiful outfit, or I'm selling a fantasy of, a beautiful makeup look or beautiful hair. That's not always my constant reality either. Right? We're all, collectively going through these ups and downs of life. So please, just wanted to say that.
We're all human.
Don't judge people based on a minute on what you see on social media, because that's just a minute of their life. They still have the rest of the day left, for sure. It was really amazing talking to you. And
questions. Thank you that's what happens when you do the research.
Did my homework, guys. Did my homework.
Yeah. Nice. Prapti. When I told Prapti about you coming on, she was gung ho and
she was prepared.
I was excited.
So thank you so much.
I didn't even, just to let you know, I didn't give her any info that we had. I just gave her like little tidbits.
Oh, okay. Well, you did good. I'm impressed.
Yeah. Thank you.
But no, Rohma, stick around. We're going to end it. But before we go, remember, guys, to subscribe, hit that like button, hit a comment, follow Rohma, and anybody who's struggling with these conditions, please follow her, message her. She will respond. Might take her some time, but she will respond because this is uncharted territories. So if you or anybody in the viewer from anywhere around the world are going through something like this, or you don't know what's happening with yourself, PSA, message her, because it could.
You guys can also reach out to my immunologist. His name is Dr. Arthur Lubitz. He practices in New York City. So if you are, God forbid, not able to get in touch with me and it's serious, you have a plan.
Absolutely. And I think that is the most important thing from here, because, stories are there, but solutions is what really matters for everybody else. So I thank you guys for watching this episode. Thank you, Rohma, for coming in again. Stick around. We need to take a picture. I know you're all the way in New York, so we have to take a selfie from the TV screen. But yeah.
Perfect.
If you like this video, please drop a like, leave a comment, and subscribe so you don't miss what's next.